Revealed, the incredible moment a millionaire discovers true love with a hidden bus stop girl. Jake Thompson stared blankly at the sea of brake lights in front of him. The rain hammered against his sleek black luxury sedan, mingling with the endless drizzle of Silicon Valley's winter storms. He was a self-made millionaire, yet he felt more trapped than free, surrounded by a life filled with lavish parties and hollow accolades that echoed in the chambers of his golden cage. He felt isolated, drowning in his own success. He glanced outside, the gray skies matching his mood, until something caught his eye. Something vibrant amidst the gloom. At a bus stop just a few feet away, stood a young woman, drenched but smiling, her eyes gleaming with an infectious fire. Emily, her soaked hair clinging to her face, was a stark contrast to the drab weather, her laughter breaking the heavy silence that surrounded him. Something about her carefree demeanor, despite the pouring rain, tugged at his heart. He couldn't explain it, but in that moment, he made a choice. Without a second thought, Jake shifted gears and pulled over. "Hey! Need a lift?" he called out as she approached, her bright smile unwavering. Her incredulous look held a hint of disbelief, but she quickly slid into the passenger seat, dripping onto the black leather. "Thanks, I was starting to think I'd be stuck here forever," she exclaimed, shaking off the rain. As they talked, Jake was drawn deeper into her world, a world of grit and unwavering determination. Emily juggled multiple jobs to support her single mother and two younger siblings, each story she shared a testament to resilience. He couldn't help but admire her spirit, how she held hope in a life seemingly starved of it. He felt like he was finally connecting to a reality that pulsed beneath the surface of his sanitized existence, but as their friendship blossomed over late-night diner meals and laughter-filled strolls through local parks, whispers of disapproval swirled around him. Friends and family warned him about overstepping his bounds, about getting entangled with someone from a different world. "You really think this is a smart play, Jake?" his childhood buddy had said, shaking his head. The tension coiled around him, a creeping dread stemming from the fear of judgment from his affluent social circle. Before he could dwell on his inner turmoil, Jake learned of the housing crisis Emily's family faced. It was a shocking blow that ripped away any illusion he had about the warmth of their friendship existing in a vacuum. He felt the weight of reality pressing down on him, challenging him to act. Could he really help her without losing himself in the process? As the glitzy charity gala approached, where colleagues would be waiting to applaud his latest achievement, Jake's gut twisted. Should he walk the fine line of expectation? Or should he embrace the authenticity he'd found with Emily? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. And so, standing at the precipice of a new chapter, Jake knew he had to confront his upbringing and question everything he had once believed about status. Would he choose to protect the heart that had sprung into his life or hide behind the walls of privilege? As the night loomed closer, doubt clawed at his heart. Would he go for it, risking everything? Jake stood in front of his ornate mirror, the flickering light of the chandelier casting soft shadows across the room. The tailored suit he wore felt constricting. He fiddled with his tie, the expensive fabric suddenly as foreign as the world outside his window. Every thread seemed woven with the expectations of his peers, expectations that felt heavier every passing moment. His phone buzzed, cutting through the silence. It was a message from Emily. "Want to meet at our spot?" The rain let up. A smile broke across Jake's face. Their spot, a little bench tucked away in a quiet park, had become his sanctuary. He had searched high and low for a glimmer of genuine care in a world suffocated by riches, and he had found it in this remarkable girl. "Just go," he whispered to himself, ignoring the little voice that urged him to stay within the safe confines of his elite social circle. He grabbed his keys and rushed out, feeling the weight of the world lift, if only for a moment. As he drove, he let the hum of the engine drown out his doubts. Each turn felt like a step toward freedom. Pulling up to the park, he spotted Emily sitting on the bench, hair now dry and a sparkle in her eyes that seemed to challenge the gloominess of the day. She waved enthusiastically, her smile contagious. "Hey, fancy seeing you here," Emily quipped as he approached, and suddenly all the weight he had carried melted away. "Hey yourself," Jake replied, slipping into the seat beside her. "I hope you're ready for the best news ever." She raised an eyebrow, curiosity piquing her interest. "Oh really? You're not getting married without telling me, are you?" Jake chuckled, the tension in his chest easing. "Trust me, the wedding will wait. But I've been thinking about us, and how I can help." Her expression shifted, the playful banter replaced with earnestness. "Help? Jake, you really don't need to know, I want to," he interrupted, his voice firm yet tender. "I know what your family is going through. I mean, I want to help. I feel different since I met you." Emily's eyes widened with a mix of hope and apprehension. "Jake, it's really not that simple. You don't know what you're dealing with." "The gala," he began, weighing his words. "I'm being honored for my latest project. If I showed up with you, it would make a statement." "A statement?" she echoed, disbelief lacing her voice. "Yeah. You, me, together. That could mean so much. You're every bit as worthy of that space. We're in this together, right? But at what cost?" Emily sighed, the smile fading. "People like you, they don't really understand what it's like. Besides, what if they don't accept me? What if it changes everything?" The fear in her voice hit him hard, like a cold wave crashing over his resolve. They were worlds apart, and he realized that by asking her to step into his world, he was putting her right in the crosshairs of judgment. "Emily, I care about you. But I promise I won't let anyone hurt you. I won't let their opinions change what you mean to me." His heart raced as he spoke, feeling raw and open, exposing truths he had always kept hidden behind polished facades. She looked away, pondering the tenderness of his words. What if it all blows up? Jake reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers a bridge over the chasm of doubt. "Then we'll handle it together." A moment hung between them, charged with possibility. But uncertainty loomed like a storm cloud, and then, with faith trembling in his chest, Jake asked, "So, what do you say? Will you be my date to the gala?" Emily's gaze met his, a whirlwind of emotion swirling in her bright eyes. A moment stretched out where they both held their breath, caught between two worlds, and then she began to speak, "I." Before she could finish, the silence shattered with the sudden crack of thunder above, a reminder that storms often follow moments of clarity. And as the skies darkened once again, Jake felt both hope and dread intertwining within his chest. What would Emily decide? Would she take a leap into the unknown alongside him, or would she retreat to the safety of her world? The rain began to fall, slowly at first, as if the universe was waiting for Emily's response. Jake felt a shiver race down his spine, each drop a reminder of the impending storm that mirrored the tumult within him. He held his breath, hoping to pack all the dreams he had for them into that moment. Would she grasp his hand, or pull away? Then, amidst the tension, he saw it the flicker of fear dissolve as Emily searched for courage deep within. He could practically see the wheels turning in her mind, the battle between fear and hope. Her voice wavered, "I want to say yes, but I just can't shake this feeling that it's too much." Jake squeezed her hand tighter, anchoring her to the moment, as he struggled to find the right words. "I understand, but what if this is the chance we both need? A chance to change everything for the better." She looked down at their entwined hands, her thumb tracing the outline of his fingers. For a heartbeat, it felt like time stood still. It was just the two of them against the world. "I just worry. This isn't just a date, Jake. It's loaded with expectations, with your world." Jake leaned closer, his sincerity evident in his gaze. Yes, my world, filled with people who often miss what truly matters. But I want you by my side. I want to show them who you are, what you mean to me. We can take it step by step. I don't want to be a trophy on your arm, she whispered, shaky and vulnerable. Her walls were crumbling, and he could sense her desire to trust him, to take that leap. Then don't be. Just be yourself, Emily, the incredible woman who brightens my life. Show them that there is so much more to love and worth than what they see on the surface. He saw a flicker of something in her eyes, a spark catching fire. Perhaps it was the reminder that she didn't have to change, that love's true beauty lay in acceptance. Okay, she sighed, hesitantly, as if each word weighed 100 pounds. But what if they don't see it? We'll make them see it. Together, he promised, determination coursing through him. The rain picked up, pouring down like a curtain drawn tight around their intimate moment. Tiny droplets danced off the leaves and collected in puddles, but in that chaos, Jake felt a rush of clarity. Let's make a pact, he proposed suddenly, a smile breaking across his face as he tried to take away the lingering fear. We handle whatever happens at the gala together. If things get tough, we walk out. No questions asked. Emily couldn't help but laugh lightly, and that sound was music to his ears. Easy to say now. Just believe in us. Believe that there's a chance. Another crack of thunder rumbled above but felt like a mere whisper against the rising energy between them. Emily took a deep breath, and he held his own, the air thick with possibility. All right, Jake, count me in, let's do it, she finally said, her voice steady. There was a spark in her eyes now, a hint of defiance mingled with excitement. A rush of warmth flooded over him, and he could hardly contain himself. He squeezed her hand again, ecstatic. You have no idea what this means to me. As they sat on the bench, both drenched in rain and emotion, Jake felt an overwhelming sense of pride wash over him. This wasn't just a date, it was a beginning, a new chapter filled with hope and bravery, but just as the storm brought dark skies, anxiety lingered in the shadows of his heart. While outside the rain fell in torrents, Jake locked eyes with Emily, reveling in their shared victory. Beneath the surface, however, the weight of society's opinions loomed large. The storm could easily become more than just rain. As they stood together, ready to face whatever came next, Jake caught a glimpse of his reflection in a puddle, a young man, ambitious and hopeful but still burdened by his past. Would their love be enough to weather the storms ahead? The sun dipped behind the clouds, and the rain began to ease, creating a lull in the chaos. Jake and Emily stood together, hearts racing, fingers intertwined, but the quiet moment felt charged with unspoken words. He could feel the weight in Emily's gaze as she scanned their surroundings, lost somewhere between excitement and trepidation. Do you think they'll notice us right away? She asked, her voice slightly above a whisper, laced with nerves. Jake thought about all the faces they would encounter at the gala, the familiar smiles, the casual nods, the raised eyebrows. Some may, he said, keeping his voice steady. But I'll make it clear that we're a team. You're not just a plus one, you're the reason I'm truly excited. A shaky smile broke through her worried expression. I still can't shake this thought that I'll be in way over my head. I promise you, we'll tackle it together. Just imagine the two of us, dancing, laughing, enjoying it, he said, trying to lift her spirits. His heart thudded in anticipation of feeling her warmth against him in a crowded ballroom, the world melting away until it was just the two of them. As the last of the rain trickled down, Emily met his gaze with newfound resolve. All right. Together it is. But you'll have to keep your promise if it gets too much. I wouldn't have it any other way, he said, squeezing her hand again. Now, let us get ready for this adventure. They both stepped off the bench, renewed by that shared understanding. Jake felt lighter, almost like the clouds had parted inside him as they strolled together down the path, their shoes splashing through the scattered puddles. Each splash echoed with their laughter, a melody of hope and courage that swirled around them. When they arrived at the venue, a mansion with sweeping arches and shimmering lights, unease lingered like a twist in his stomach. The exterior was glorious, glittering with elegance, but the doubts loomed over as if they could suck the joy right out of the air. "We can do this," Emily whispered, her face firming with determination. "Yeah, we can," he replied, stealing glances at her expression. The gala was filled with people, active conversations, laughter, clinking glasses, but none of that truly mattered. It was their connection that filled him with purpose. As they entered, the grandeur around them struck him. A flurry of color and movement danced through the air, but at the entrance, his heart sank as he spotted familiar faces. Figures from his past began drifting into view, voices rising in an excited buzz, and he knew without a doubt they would cross paths soon. "Are you okay?" Emily asked, catching the tension in his shoulders. "Just give me a moment," he said, trying to gather himself. The warm glow of Emily's presence acted like a beacon in the swirling crowd, but insecurities began to claw their way into his thoughts. What if they didn't accept her? What if they saw her as an outsider? "Jake," she urged gently, her thumb brushing against his hand, snapping him back to the moment. "I just want this to go well for us," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. There was too much at stake, and the thought of disappointing her was unbearable. "Then let us show them who we are together," she said firmly, her eyes burning with conviction. "We're stronger united." As they stepped further into the crowd, heads began to turn. A pang of anxiety twisted in Jake's chest as eyes landed on them. Those same eyes that had once filled him with pride now threatened to expose their insecurities, and just then, amidst the clamor, a voice cut through the noise. Well, look who decided to join us." Jake froze, recognizing the voice. It was Ethan, one of his childhood friends who thrived on dramas and social analysis. The crowd parted like the Red Sea as Ethan's smirk spread wide. Suddenly, the warmth of the moment flickered. Jake felt his heart pound in his ears. What would Ethan say? And more importantly, how would it impact Emily? "Are you ready for this?" Emily asked quietly, sensing his tension. As Jake turned to face Ethan, he squeezed her hand, taking a deep breath. The game was on, and he couldn't let any doubt overshadow their chance. But as Jake prepared to speak, another figure stepped forward, and the weight of the night began to shift. Was this night about to take a turn he never expected? Ethan's smirk faltered, his eyes shifting from Jake to Emily, taking her in as if she were an open book written in a language he didn't understand. There was something about the way he looked at her, curiosity mixed with a tinge of gossip. "So, who's this?" he drawled, letting the question linger like a rippling wave in the crowd. Jake felt Emily stiffen beside him. The moment felt heavy, like a weight pressing down on both of them. He had imagined this confrontation, but he hadn't prepared for the gaze directed toward Emily. "Ethan, this is Emily. My date," he said, injecting as much confidence into his voice as he could muster. Ethan raised an eyebrow, his expression shifting to one of playful skepticism, as if questioning why someone like Jake would bring a girl like Emily to a high-profile event. "Your date? Interesting choice." With a chuckle, he continued, "Did you lose a bet or something?" Emily's face flushed, and Jake felt a surge of protectiveness. "Why don't you keep your comments to yourself, Ethan?" he snapped, steeling himself to create a boundary. The crowd had shifted, murmurs emanating like faint echoes from the people nearby. Jake hated that all eyes were on them, that the moment felt so public and invasive. But Ethan seemed unfazed, basking in the attention. "Just teasing, man. But hey, Emily, how do you know Jake? Did you meet at a bus stop or something?" The laughter that followed felt like a slap. Jake could see the hurt flicker in Emily's eyes, but just as quickly, she gathered herself. With a calmness that took him by surprise, she said, "Actually, I met him at a coffee shop during a rainstorm. He was hiding under an awning." The mention of that day flashed in Jake's mind. It had been a matter of chance, but it felt like fate. The way they talked and laughed, he could still hear the water drumming on the pavement, the warmth of her smile cutting through the chill of the rain. A coffee shop? Ethan scoffed, incredulous. Wow, what a romantic story. So, what is your next goal? Planning to become a social media star or just riding on Jake's coattails? Jake could feel the tension rising, his anger almost overwhelming. No one is riding anyone's coattails, he bit back, his heart racing. Emily is amazing on her own. She doesn't need validation from you or anyone else. Ethan paused, feigning shock. The crowd leaned in, hanging on every word. Wow, it seems like someone really cares. However, I was just asking, surely every girl dreams about being with a millionaire. Isn't that right, Emily? The laughter felt colder this time, laced with judgment and mockery, but Jake saw something change in Emily's expression. Where there had been hurt, defiance sparked. She turned to Ethan, her chin lifting slightly. Actually, whether he has money or not doesn't change who Jake is. He's kind, funny, and honest. That's all that matters to me. The words hit like a snowball in summer. Jake felt pride swell within him. Emily had faced down the very people who could have torn them apart. Ethan's grin faded, replaced by a look of sincere confusion. Just then, another figure stepped forward. An older woman, impeccably dressed but with a softness to her face that made her seem approachable, stepped between them. Ethan, darling, I think it's time for you to let them enjoy their evening. You know the gala isn't the place for this. As she turned to Jake and Emily, her gaze softened. Don't let him ruin your night. You both look lovely, and Jake, I'm impressed you found someone who truly sees you. Jake blinked, stunned. It felt different suddenly, like a veil had lifted. Thank you, Emily said, her voice steady now, sharing a smile with Jake that was both brave and infectious. As they walked away from Ethan, hand in hand, Jake felt the wall he had built in his heart begin to crumble, replaced with something real. There was still a long way ahead, but he had no doubt in their strength. What do you want to do now? Emily asked softly as they reached the edge of the dance floor. Jake looked around, the energy of the room buzzing like electricity. How about we show them just who we are? Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and Jake drew her closer, ready to embrace the night despite the challenges ahead. But just as they stepped onto the dance floor, another voice called out, well, it seems someone has made a mistake having you here. Jake's heart sank again. Betrayal had a way of creeping up at the worst moments, and this one felt different. Could they survive the weight of the past, or were they destined to crumble under the pressure? Jake turned, the words echoing in his ears like a drumbeat of chaos. The voice belonged to Greg, one of Ethan's cronies, who swaggered up to them with a self-satisfied grin plastered across his face. Greg's reputation preceded him, a reputation steeped in shrewdness and a penchant for not just gossip, but betrayal. What do you mean by that? Jake asked, his voice low but taut with emotion. He could feel the familiar tension rising again, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Greg leaned in, his smirk widening. Oh, come on, man. You think a girl like her actually belongs here? Did you really think you could pull this off without anyone noticing? This is supposed to be a classy gala. Jake's face burned with indignation. Emily squeezed his hand, and in that small gesture, he felt a surge of strength. This isn't about status or class. He shot back, raising his voice slightly. It's about being real. Oh, real? Greg sneered, glancing at Emily. You call this real? A bus-stop girl trying to fit into a world she doesn't understand? The people around them stirred, curious to see how Emily would react, like a pack of wolves gauging the weak. But instead of retreating, she stood tall beside Jake. If being real means pretending to be someone I'm not, then I'd rather stay true to myself, she said. Her voice, calm yet fierce, cut through the murmur of the crowd. I get that you're trying to defend her, Jake, Greg continued, dismissing Emily as if she were nothing, but you should know better. These parties aren't where you find love, they're where you find the right connections. Emily's eyes met Jake's, and there was a spark there, a shared understanding of what they were up against. The crowd watched, caught between venomous entertainment and genuine interest. Connections? Jake laughed bitterly. Is that what it's all about for you? Isn't that what makes this world so exhausting and lonely? Greg hesitated, caught off guard by Jake's suddenly fierce resolve. But the moment was fleeting. Look, you're being naive. You're not just dating a girl, you're risking your entire reputation. Everyone sees that. Jake felt a rush of emotion, a thunderous urge to protect what they had. It doesn't matter what anyone sees. What matters is how we feel. And I feel good with Emily. We're building something real, despite you and your mind games. With each passing second, the atmosphere shifted. The murmurs of the crowd faded, and finally, they were quiet. There was something honest in Jake's words that resonated. Before Greg could unleash another retort, Emily spoke up again, her tone deliberate. You're right about one thing, Greg. I'm not from your world. But I've never wanted to be. There's more to life than money and connections. She took a deep breath, her voice steady. What I have with Jake is worth more than anything you could ever buy or orchestrate. And maybe that frightens you, I don't know. But I won't let you take this away from me. There was a moment, just a heartbeat, where silence hung thick in the air. It was as if Emily had waved a wand, and the spell cast over the crowd broke, leaving just Jake and Emily standing firm against the tide. That a small cheer erupted from a few people who had gathered, their expressions shifting from judgment to admiration. Jake felt a wave of pride wash over him, and he could see the surprise on Greg's face, his bravado faltering. Wow, didn't he expect that one, did you? Jake said, smirking slightly. Emily pulled him closer, their hands still intertwined, and he felt the warmth of her courage seep into him. But just then, a different voice cut through, sharp and cold. You really think this is going to end well for you two? It was Ethan again, having regrouped with his original stance of condescension. Enjoy the moment while it lasts, because reality is coming. The entire room shifted, a collective breath held, and Jake felt a chill sweep over him. What did Ethan know, or think he knew? The fear fluttered in his chest, but Emily glanced at him, her eyes conveying not just strength, but a promise. Through the chaos, amidst the whispers and the judgment, they had found each other. Let them talk, Emily whispered. As long as we're together. Jake gripped her hand tightly, resolved to face whatever came next. They were strong, and more importantly, they were real, but as the music started to play again softly, drawing them back to the moment, he couldn't shake off the feeling that Ethan's words carried a weight they were yet to fully understand. What did reality hold for them both? Would they be ready when it came knocking? The hum of chatter returned, stretching across the room like a gauzy curtain. Jake and Emily stood side by side, a small island of warmth in a sea of judgment. Jake watched as the crowd resumed their conversations, casting glances in their direction, some curious, others simply snickering. He felt a weight in his chest, he knew they weren't out of the woods yet. I didn't mean for all this to happen, he confessed quietly to Emily, his voice low enough so only she could hear. I thought we could just enjoy the night. Emily's eyes sparkled under the soft glow of the chandeliers. You didn't do anything wrong, Jake. We were just being ourselves. They're the ones who need to figure out who they really are, she replied, her voice firm, solid as steel. It sent a fresh wave of determination through him. The music swelled in the background, enveloping them like a cozy blanket. Only the slightest shift in the charge around them felt different. Jake could sense it, a crackling tension, a mix of anticipation and foreboding. Ethan, with his predatory gaze, seemed to hover nearby, watching them like a hawk. You might want to brace yourself, Jake, he said, voice dripping with malice. Things are about to shift. I wouldn't want you to be blindsided. Jake clenched his jaw. We're not scared of you, Ethan. You can't control us. Control? Ethan chuckled mockingly. I don't need to control you. Just wait and see how quickly this illusion of connection shatters. The truth always comes out. Emily's grip tightened around Jake's hand, and he could feel the warmth and strength radiating from her. "Ignore him," she said. "He's just trying to get under your skin. We know what we have." That was it. In that moment, surrounded by the vibrant chaos of the gala, Jake felt the bond between them solidify. He turned to look at her, really look. The way her hair caught the light, the softness of her expression, it grounded him. "You're right. We'll face whatever comes together," he said, planting a kiss on her forehead. An explosion of cheers erupted from a different corner of the room, drawing their attention. "What now?" Jake muttered, glancing over to see a new arrival. It was Ava, one of the gala's co-hosts, and she seemed radiant in a glimmering gown, but there was a tension in her eyes. "Hey everyone. I know the night has been wild," Ava said, trying to inject enthusiasm where there was none. "But let's take a moment to have a little fun. We have a surprise guest who is ready to perform." A murmur of excitement rippled through the crowd. Jake caught Emily's eye, her excitement translating into barely contained joy. Yet, curiosity hung in the air, each of them wondering if this surprise would be an uplifting distraction or another twist in their tumultuous evening. As the crowd shifted to the stage, there was a buzz of whispered speculation. Who could possibly be performing? "Let's check it out," Emily urged, pulling Jake along with her. They found a spot near the front, where the flickering lights cast shadows, mingling with excitement. Jake could still feel Ethan's gaze burning into him from a distance, but he pushed the sensation away. Here and now, it was just him and Emily. The energy in the room shifted again as music echoed through the hall, pulsing and alive. Then, just as the performance began, a figure stepped into the spotlight, a figure familiar yet unexpected. Jake's heart stopped. "Wait, is that who I think it is?" As the notes wrapped around them, he knew, with a sinking realization, that reality had indeed come knocking, and with it came secrets he had never expected to surface. He looked at Emily, her eyes wide, mirroring his shock. "What do we do now?" And as the crowd became lost in the music, he wondered if they were ready for what lay ahead, or if the moment had just set the stage for a revelation that could change everything. Jake felt his heart racing as he stared at the figure on stage. A rush of memories flooded his mind, times they'd spent together, how they'd laughed, and the unspoken words that had hung in the air between them. That soft, familiar voice pierced through the chants of anticipation. "It can't be," he whispered. Emily squeezed his hand tighter, her thumb brushing against his wrist in a calming gesture. "Who is it?" she asked, her voice a mix of excitement and concern. When she turned to face him, the light caught her features, highlighting her apprehension. He hated that Ethan had managed to rattle her. It's Megan." Megan, his childhood friend, the girl who had moved away years ago and took a piece of his heart with her. He breathed out slowly, trying to process the whirlwind of emotions. She glided across the stage, her stunning presence igniting the room, but to Jake, she was still just the girl from next door who had once shared dreams beneath the stars. But there was something more. The way she held the microphone with confidence, the sparkle in her eyes, it was clear she had transformed into someone extraordinary. The crowd roared as she began to sing, the sweet melody dancing through the air, wrapping around them with memories so vivid Jake felt alive with nostalgia. "Isn't this amazing?" Emily's voice cut through his reverie, bright and hopeful. But beneath her excitement, Jake sensed a flicker of uncertainty. Had he given Megan too much space in his heart? Yeah, it is. Yet the thrill of the moment clashed with Ethan's lingering words. What if there was more to Megan's sudden appearance than a simple performance? As the song built, Jake noticed small gestures in the crowd, people filming, their eyes wide with fascination. Ethan, standing off to the side, was staring intently, his smirk widening by the second. Something nagged at Jake's insides. Why was Ethan so focused? "I think she's really changed," Emily said, her gaze never leaving the stage. "She looks incredible." "She does," Jake agreed, his heart racing. Justice, vulnerability, and fear intermingled as he watched her perform with haunting grace. Would she remember him? Would she care? But what came next drained the color from his face. As Megan sang one final note, she stepped back and looked straight at Jake. A familiar warmth mirrored their past, an echo he had thought lost to time. "Megan!" he shouted, instinctively moving forward, only to feel Emily's hand on his arm. "Wait! Jake!" There was urgency in her tone, but he didn't hear her. Then, in the shocking stillness as the last note faded, Megan's gaze intensified. "This one's for you," she said, the words crystal clear amidst the applause. The crowd erupted into cheers, but they were just background noise. Jake's heart was pounding. What did that mean? A promise? A declaration? Were her words meant solely for him, or was she playing into the drama of the room? His mind raced as she continued talking into the microphone, drawing everyone's attention back to her. She began speaking about love, about finding oneself in unexpected places. Sometimes, you don't realize what or who you've lost until it comes back, right? Her eyes flickered around the crowd, landing on Ethan for just a moment, and then shifted back to Jake. The air around him felt heavy with unspoken tension. Did she mean what he thought she meant? "Jake," Emily's voice pleaded softly, "we should go. It could complicate things." But Jake was frozen, his gaze tangled with Megan's. What had just been a night of carefree fun was becoming a minefield of emotions and revelations. One look at her and he knew he couldn't walk away now. "Do you think could this be a chance for us?" he whispered back to Emily. But the question lingered, unanswered, as the crowd pulsed with excitement and anticipation, and Jake was left with the daunting question of what would come next. Jake's breath caught as Megan continued to speak, her words weaving a tapestry of hope and uncertainty. He could hardly hear what she was saying over the thumping in his chest. All he could focus on were her eyes, shimmering like stars against the night sky, pulling him in deeper. Old memories rushed back, the laughter, the secrets shared under blankets, the bittersweet taste of missed opportunities. Emily shifted beside him, her hands still gripping his, grounding him in the present. "Jake, please, we should talk about this." Her voice was thick with concern, and he could see the conflict dancing in her eyes. "What if she's just reminiscing?" "I have to find out," he replied, unconsciously stepping forward. The exhilaration of the moment overshadowed everything else, the noise of the crowd, the warnings in Emily's voice, and even Ethan's simmering presence in the background. "Just wait a second." Emily fumed as he brushed past her, determination coursing through him. He could feel the warmth of the stage lights envelop him as he navigated through the throng. The crowd pulsed with energy, but all he could see was Megan, a figure of possibility dressed in dreams. As he reached the front, he caught Megan's eye again. The silence between them was palpable. She smiled, a gentle lift of her lips that felt like a long-lost melody awakening within him. "Jake!" she called out, and it was like the world fell away. "I knew you'd be here." His heart soared, and he couldn't help but respond. "I wouldn't miss it for the world." The words slipped out before he could stop himself. "Come on up here," she urged, her voice dancing around the lingering notes of her song. It was an invitation wrapped in laughter and sunlight, and without a second thought, he mounted the steps, adrenaline pushing him onward. The moment he reached her side, it felt surreal. The crowd's roar faded into a distant hum. The old familiarity rushed back as she looked at him with unmistakable intent. "I can't believe it's really you." "Believe it," he grinned, trying to steady his racing heart. "You've changed so much, in the best way." Megan laughed, and it was a sound that wrapped around him like a warm blanket. "I doubt you've noticed. You always looked at me like I was just Megan from next door." Though her words were light, he felt the weight of them. "That's not true," he countered, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "You always had a hold on me. I didn't know how to say it." There was a moment of silence, vulnerable and charged. Jake could sense the crowd leaning in, hunger for drama heavy in the air. Just behind them, Ethan shifted, a mere shadow on the periphery, his expression unreadable. Megan leaned closer, lowering her voice just for him. I've thought about you a lot, Jake. You were such an important part of my life. When I saw you out there tonight, I had to say something. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of mischief and truth, the past mixing with the present in the most intoxicating way. Are you saying you feel the same? He breathed, his heart thumping harder. What if I do? She replied softly, challenging him in the best way. The thrill of her admission sent a wave of heat through him. Just then, a sharp laugh echoed from Ethan, breaking the moment. What a reunion, huh? Do you really think she's here to rekindle old flames? The sarcasm slurred through the crowd, catching their attention. Jake's stomach dropped. He could feel the energy shift, and he suddenly sensed Emily hovering, torn between support and apprehension. Megan, Jake started, his emotions warring within him. This isn't just about the past, is it? I think it's a chance for a new beginning, she said, eyes alight with hope, but Jake felt a swell of doubt rise. Could they truly start again with so much history looming over them? His thoughts tangled, and as he looked at her, he saw the glimmering potential of what they could be if he could move past the ghosts of what had been. As the noise stirred around them, he took a deep breath and looked at Megan, longing to choose his next words carefully. I want that too. But we need to face the truth about what is happening out there. A surge of determination surged in his chest. The promise of what could be pulled him forward, but first, they had to confront the doubt that threatened to tear them apart once more. Jake. Emily's voice sliced through the confusion. We need to talk about this now. In that moment, he realized that the next step could very well define the rest of his life. But would he take the leap, or retreat to safer waters? The air around them was thick with possibility and uncertainty, and Jake stood at a crossroads, heart racing, anxiously weighing his options. What would he choose? The commotion swirled around Jake and Emily, but all he could focus on was the warmth of her hand still laced with his. Megan's presence, while nostalgic, created a chasm that felt insurmountable in that moment. Jake's heart raced, caught between the past that tugged at him and the present that shimmered with promise. Jake, please, we need to be honest, Emily implored, her voice steady but laced with worry. What about us? What does this mean? He looked back at Megan, whose smile was as dazzling as he remembered. Megan, you were a huge part of my life, he said, feeling the weight of nostalgia flood his senses. But I've changed. We both have. Jake, she said softly, her eyes glistening. I never forgot what we had. I came here to find you. The truth in her words felt surreal, almost intoxicating. But as he stood there, facing layers of emotions and situations colliding like waves crashing against a rocky shore, he felt the tug of loyalty to Emily. She deserved his honesty, his sincerity, and truthfully, Jake was terrified of how much he felt for her. Listen, Megan, he said, his voice firm, you were my first love, but I'm in a different place now. Emily is she's part of my future. At those words, he turned to Emily, who was standing firm, her gaze locked onto his. I want you here, Emily. With me. You inspire me in ways I never imagined. A small smile broke across her face, glimmering with something that melted Jake's heart. Yet, doubt still laced through the atmosphere like a heavy fog. The whispers in the crowd echoed their unspoken thoughts, as all eyes remained glued to them, hungry for the next dramatic turn. See. He is still attached to his past, Ethan chimed in, his voice dripping with disdain. You think you can have it all, Jake? Pulling together pieces from your yo-yo life? Jake felt the heat rising again. This isn't about you, Ethan. This is about my choices. I'm not living for everybody else. A ripple of surprise flowed through the crowd, emboldening his words. But as the shadows of his past seemed to scorn him, regret tightened around his chest. Could he really turn his back on Megan? Why not see if what you have could be rekindled? Ethan sneered, challenging him. She's not just a reminder of the past, she's a chance to reclaim some status, isn't she? No. Jake shouted, finding his voice amidst the chaos. It's not about status. It never was. He turned to Megan, locking eyes with her. I cared about you. I still do. But we both need to move forward. For a fleeting moment, the truth echoed like a bell across the room. Holding on to the past was no longer an option. Before anyone could respond, Jake took a deep breath and faced Emily. But it's you I want, the present is where I find my hope. Jake, Emily murmured, her eyes reflecting a mix of strength and vulnerability. Is what you feel for her real? Do you still love her? There was no turning back now. Jake wiped the doubt from his mind and opened his heart. Emily, love is complicated. You mean something different to me now. I've never felt more alive, more authentic than since you walked into my life. Our laughter, our moments, it's a reality I want to embrace. It's as real as thunder rolling in, as genuine as the rain washing away my past. Emily looked at him for a heartbeat-esque pause, the sincerity evident on her face. Then let us be real. Together. So let us forget the past and own this present moment. The crowd hushed, the tension shattered like glass. In that shared breath, time slowed, and the clarity dawned on them like a dawn breaking over a stormy night. This was it, they were choosing each other, no looking back. Engulfed by emotion, Jake stepped forward and wrapped Emily in his arms. Her warmth felt like sunlight breaking through, igniting a spark of hope that blossomed within him. As if the universe conspired to sing their victory, Megan's voice echoed in the background, her song shifting from nostalgia to a celebratory anthem, one of love transcending barriers, new beginnings, and courage. Jake met Emily's penetrating gaze. Let us show them who we really are. Without another word between them, they stepped onto the dance floor as one. Each movement felt electric, igniting hope in the hearts around them. Cheers erupted, a collective realization washing over the crowd that true connection surpassed all boundaries, warmth radiating through the air for those brave enough to embrace it. And as they danced, with their hearts aligned to the music of who they had become, Jake knew that this moment was not an ending. It was an inspiring beginning, a call to all to celebrate love of all forms, free from judgment and anchored in heartfelt truth. This was their moment. So, don't wait not even one more second. You need to subscribe now to the channel. Leave a like now to help us reach more hearts like yours. Comment your feelings about this transformation. And share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring story. This is the moment to show your support and be part of our incredible community.